So just so you guys know, as you're logging in, these are typically, this is what we call the virtual cutting club. Today I'm doing it live for everybody, but this is something that I'm doing pretty much on a weekly basis. I mean, guaranteed once a month, but I want to try to do it every week for you guys on Mondays. And then sporadically I'll do it other times as well, but consistently I want to do it on Mondays, just like this. It's $9.99 a month. It's $10 a month. For the subscription, you get access to our cutting system, which is a full step-by-step cutting system, which I'm going to go over a little bit today in the class. And also, you get access to these live classes, which will be private. You know, sort of moving forward, I'll do them live every once in a while. But the goal of the virtual cutting club is to kind of create this community that's really focused on learning and getting better together. So, you know, that's kind of what it's all about. So if you guys want to join, all you have to do is download the Patreon app. I put the link in the description of the video today. So at some point, if you want to do it after the class or you want to see what the class is all about first, you can do that. But what's up, Patty? Good to see you. Yeah, I'm happy to have the virtual cutting club back. We had a lot of fun the first round that I did it. And but I think through Patreon, it's going to be so much easier to communicate with you guys. You have access to ask me questions on the app as well. You get notifications anytime I post a new video. I give you guys early access to the videos that I put out. So it's just a cool way. I tried to make it super cheap for you guys. So $10 a month so that we could get as many people in there as possible. But I also want it to be very, you know, professional focused and that kind of thing. So it's patreon.com/Matt Beck. Let me, it's in the description, but let me see if I can put it up. I remember how to do all this stuff. Add text. .com/Matt Beck. So here is, this is the website. So all you have to do is go there. You can, and then once you sign up, it's pretty simple to sign up, and then you download the app on your phone, and you're good to go.
If you don't speak, then you won't get spoken to. People only see you when you...
I didn't want to do that. There's no reason for an intro. Sorry, that got I was like, I could let that play out, and I'm not going to. So, what's up? You're very welcome. Excited. What does it look like on the App Store? Let me show you guys. So Patreon's a pretty popular, like I follow some people that have Patreons. This is the app right here. So there you go. So it's just Patreon. And then once you get in there and logged in, you see your feed and it'll have like literally all the videos that I posted. You can watch all the past stuff. And what I've been doing, which is kind of cool, and I'll get into the haircut, I promise. But what I've been doing with you guys is posting kind of the raw video. So like no music, nothing, that I'm going to post on YouTube so I can get it out to you guys quicker. And then I'll finish the edit, which usually takes me a little bit longer. And then I put that video out on YouTube for everybody. So you get kind of a raw look at the education. Some of you guys like that even better. Without the music, you know, I like the creativity of putting all that other stuff in it, but it's just kind of fulfilling for me. But I know some of you guys just want the education, and that's kind of what that's all about. So if you guys have questions about the program, that's kind of what this day is all about, but I'm also going to teach you guys a really cool way to layer hair, and we're really going to focus on how layering hair works. So I think you'll get a lot out of this class. I'm reading Mindy's comment here. Most just section in the front and the back. This guy is great. Use common sense and care. Seems so simple. Now I need to find a stylist. Exactly. So that's what the cutting club's all about, is getting us all on the same page. So a lot of things I'm going to talk about today are in my digital cutting system, which you can purchase that separate. You don't have to be a part of the virtual cutting club, but it's a cheaper way, kind of a cheaper way. You get a lot more if you become part of the cutting club, and then you get access to that cutting system. But there's a PDF book that breaks down terminology, sectioning, all of that stuff. So it just makes hair cutting really simple, and that's what it's all about. Shay, what's up? Kansas, how are you? And What's up, June? Indonesia is here. Love seeing you guys from all over the place. Hope everyone's healthy, happy, safe. All right, we're going to get into the haircut. I also got a really cool foot switch now, so I'm going to go over to the cutting. And just so you guys know, I can see your questions, but the most important thing for you to do to make sure that this all goes smooth for me, and I can see your questions because they fly by pretty quick, is to put a Q before your question. So if you have a question, we show you that look here. So if you have put a Q, the letter Q, and then the question, and I'll try not to miss it. I will backtrack a little bit and try to get into it. Virtual Cutting Club is obviously a smaller group than this. We got over 400 people in the room today. Virtual Cutting Club is much smaller. You get much more attention. But today we're going to have a bigger class and have some fun. So, all right. So what's up? So basically, I sectioned off the doll head. I'm going to go over that sectioning in a second. I've got different angles that we can pop through here. So we got the overhead. I got my little foot switch now. So I can pop from the different camera angles, which is super exciting. Worked on that last week, trying to figure that thing out, and we got it. So sectioning. And there was already a comment about sectioning. You didn't say hi to Smell. What's up, Smell? How are you? Good to see you. San Antonio, what's up, Cindy? Q, my layers looks choppy. What am I doing wrong? This is a class for you. All right. So sectioning makes everything more simple. When we talk about head shape plays the key role in how those layers are going to fall. So when I talk about the secret to perfect layers, it's really all about the fact that as the head shape plays out, it's a round surface, right? So if you're working on a round surface and you start creating different angles that fight that round, all of a sudden you get weight in different places. That's okay, but you got to understand why and then attack it that way. So what I'm going to do for you guys today is we're going to start by layering the back. A lot of people will put in the baseline first. For me, I don't like to go baseline first. I like to go interior first, then work towards the exterior line. So what I'll do is I'll cut my layers first, figure out the length that I want to create in those layers, and then I'm going to go through and cut my baseline, and I get everything I want. I get the length of the layers that I want, and I also get the length of the baseline that I want, instead of cutting the baseline and then layering from that, because that to me is how I was taught in beauty school, but it doesn't mean that it's the way that's going to be the most effective in choosing my length. So start in the interior, work towards the exterior, cut your baseline. That's what we're going to do. Scissor choice today. I get a lot of questions about what scissor I use. This one I hand designed with Mizutani. Mizutani scissors in Japan. We sell them on our online store, Shop FSE. If some of the OGs in the room, people that are Virtual Cutting Club members that know me really well, can you just type the website in the comments, please? It's shopfse.com. You can get this scissor. We have payment plans as well. They're not cheap, but they're the best. So, and that's kind of my goal with those. I've looked into getting cheaper scissors made. They're cheap. I've tried every single one of them. I've used all the manufacturers that I knew of, and they're just cheap. They don't last. So you want a scissor with a lifetime warranty. So if any factory defects are in it, you get a brand new scissor, and a company that cares about the quality and artistry of what we do. So this scissor, designed it. The handle's super comfortable. It's got a smaller tang, which I really like because I do a lot of flipping of my scissor, so it just kind of stays out of the way, but it gives me plenty of room to balance on my hand. It's great for wet, dry cutting. It's 5 inches long. I like a shorter scissor because there's more power in the blade. So talked about this a lot, but when you have a longer scissor blade, the longer it is, the weaker it gets. So you think about if you work a tape measure out and it's really kind of strong at the first point, and then as you get about 6 feet away, it starts to break, right? It starts to fall down. That's kind of, things get weaker as they get longer. So for me, having that shorter blade, I'm only working that little bit in my hand at a time anyways, so that just works for me. So into the cutting, Please can you do a tutorial on a pixie cut Miley Cyrus got in August of 2012? Yes, I'll work on that. All right, so we'll keep even saturation on the hair. And again, I'm gonna work the interior first. Here's a couple key things when layering. Body position in hair cutting is probably on my top 5 list of importance when providing a good haircut, right? So the body position of me, the body position of my guest or client, both super important. I'm gonna start in the very center back and I'm gonna work my way up. What is the correct body position here? If I'm going to be working interior to exterior, I wanna make sure my elbow is outside, right? If I come around and I'm on this side and I lift the hair up, now my elbow's and the head's in the way. So it makes it harder to create whatever angle I want. So some people say, you know, have your elbow out just to cut concave. For me, it's kind of anything I'm doing interior to exterior cutting. So I'll flip this around. Again, we're working vertical. To help you guys understand what virtual cutting club classes are, we focus more on technique and less on being a hair tutorial, okay? So that's the biggest difference. If you really want to learn in-depth hair cutting and take classes with me, that's what we're doing. Because if I put this out on the internet, it's not very popular. It's popular for the hair nerdy people, right? So we're gonna break things down in depth. I'm gonna take your questions, all of that kind of stuff. And I promise if I will post this later. This will be in the Cutting Club app. It will disappear from the internet, but it will be in the virtual Cutting Club. So and if you're asking a question, I will go back and try to find them. They're just flying by. There's a lot of people in here. I love all your comments though. So more of a hair class. So here we go. So vertical, straight down center back. I'm going to take about a 1/2 inch section. I don't go any thicker than that because that just creates too much over direction. So I've got my section here in my hand. I'm gonna comb this hair up. I'm gonna start pulling it both ways. You wanna get consistency within the root area of the hair. So I keep combing, just like this. Comb it up underneath. And now I obviously have to be aware of the baseline length because if I go through and I cut all this shorter, it's gonna make my baseline shorter. I gotta be aware of that. But for me, I'm gonna go kind of longer with these layers anyways, because I cut a lot of short layers, shag, all that stuff. I really want these to just be a nice, seamless kind of feel to these layers. So look at everything that's in my hand right now. Some of it, 90 degrees. If you look at the top point, the tip of my finger here, this one, 90 degrees, right? That's pretty much coming straight out of the head. But because the head rounds and comes down, that angle gets more and more extreme. It's a higher number, right? So from 90, we're going up. Once you go above 90, you start layering it more and removing more weight. You got to decide, do I want to remove more weight? What does it mean when I remove more weight? It basically means that it's going to be a lighter feel to the line. You're going to diffuse your baseline, so it's going to be way more separated. So if you've got somebody that has finer hair, you might not want to layer it that much. So you might want to keep some thickness in the baseline. So you might want to only layer a little bit. So you just got to be aware of everything that's in your hand and what's going to happen when you cut it and let it go. So here, I hold this hair up. I'm going to go up, keep it at 90 degrees. I'm going to get to this point, which is where I'm going to start taking my line. And I'm only going to cut to about my second knuckle, not because of the beauty school reason of cutting yourself or whatever it is, but what I don't want to do is there's no reason to cut the rest. I could just cut it off and then recomb. I don't need to. I cut to my second knuckle. That takes away about an inch of hair here, but then everything gets really extreme at this point. So what I want to do is I want to recomb like this, and I'm going to comb that more straight out. There's the line that I created at the beginning. I want to go to the end of that line. It's like this. end of that line. There's my guide, and I'm going to cut down. I'm going to recomb. This is all going to come straight out of the head. Here, recomb, and I'm going to point cut that off because I don't need to twist my body too much. So now, what I've done is I've created a nice seamless layer because we cut it at 90 degrees, so there's not going to be a weight line. So not chunky like you guys were saying. No weight line, and then it's just going to get a little bit fuller because I shifted that line within the haircut, if that makes sense. So shifting the line, staying at 90 degrees here, and then coming straight down. So a little bit of extra elevation there, but it doesn't weaken the baseline too much. Now I comb that out. I'm going to grab another section. Now this is where the virtual or the digital haircutting system comes into play. What are we trying to do with the weight horizontally? So we're working everything vertically. Everything's making sense vertically, right? So let me bring this over here. So if you look at this, and we talked about this last week in the virtual cutting club, a lot of you guys weren't there. So if you look at what I'm doing here, this is the horizontal view. So you guys can see my hands moving back and forth, right? You see it moving back and forth. This is how the weight is going to move around the head horizontally. Now, if I go up and down, it's harder for you guys to see what type of angle I'm taking because that is in the vertical line. So what we just dealt with was the vertical line. Everything I had in my hand, I was focused on this vertical line that you can see when you look straight on at me. But you can't really see that horizontal line now. So the over direction that I take in this cut, if everything comes back to this point, and I start bringing this hair over here back to this point, now what happens is the weight starts to get thrown forward. And what we call that in the FSC digital haircutting system is closing off the face. It's a closed shape because we're taking, and triangular is closed, it's a closed shape, right? So for me, terminology-wise, it makes sense to say, am I closing off the face or am I opening up the face, right? Or am I balancing the weight line horizontally? Those are the few things. Balancing is like squared. Open could be round, could be balanced as well. Depends on how it's working on the head shape. So you just really need to understand what you want to do with that weight line horizontally. Do we want to round it off? Do we want it to be more squared or balanced? That's up to you guys. When I bring it out here vertically, that's where it starts to be a challenge. It's a lot easier to cut a horizontal line when you take a horizontal section. But now if I take it individually, vertically, I just got to be aware of how that over direction's playing in. That make sense? Could you please separate the crown area as well? I'm not sure if I understand your question, but we're going to break down the crown area in a minute. So as I work, I just took a section from the very center back here. Now I'm going to work to the next section. And my goal here is to cut a balanced shape. So I grab a little bit of the old, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb that old section or the guideline to the new section, because I want this new section to be cut over top of where it comes out of the head. So not over top of this part, it's going to be over top of where it comes out of the head, straight out. What's up, guys? I see everybody saying hello. Very cool to have all of you in here. So now, comb through. I'm going to find my guide from the first section that I cut. I'm going to work interior to exterior, just like that. And now I recomb, drop that elevation, bring it here, go to the end of that line, and I'm going to point cut it. Point cutting just going to create a little bit softer look, so I'm fine with that. Now again, take another section, and then I'll grab from my previous section, not all the way to the center, just from the previous. So I comb the hair here. You can see I'm moving away from that center back now. Just like that. Comb it over top of where it lives. Cutting the whole thing. Comb it out. Just like that. Good morning. Is Adrian in here? Very cool. Love seeing all these familiar names. All right, a little bit of the old. Now, here's where things change a little bit in what I'm talking about. So instead of now pushing away, because we get to this corner here, I'm going to pull it straight back. So I'm going to comb that corner, and pull it straight back to me. So just like this, nice and tight from the root. Still bringing it straight back on the head. And then we'll drop. All right. So that is that. Now let's break down over here what just happened. So I brought everything straight out from the head, right? When you bring everything straight out from the head, like this, and you cut it, your horizontal shape's going to look like this. The key thing here is to understand that the head starts to move away. So because the head starts to move away, the over direction becomes more extreme in the corner. So on a balanced shape, you actually get extra weight moving towards the front. So you can decide you're going to get a little bit more of a corner, I guess you could say, in the weight horizontally. So you just got to be aware of that and kind of work through it and make sure that that's what you're looking for in this shape. Okay. Thank you, Christina. Appreciate it. All right, so same thing. Keep the saturation going. All right. Totally cut myself on live TV. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Look at that. They're sharp. Hang on. Let me just grab a piece of tape. Let me do this. Grab some tape. This is like MacGyver style. If anybody even knows what MacGyver, I don't even know what MacGyver is, to be honest. Now I can answer your questions. Stayed away for too long. Look at that. So just do that. Just so you know, it doesn't hurt. It's just annoying when it happens. How long have you been hairdressing for? How long has it been now? 17 years? And I've done this enough times. I cut myself all the time. Sweet. Oh, good times, guys, good times. Love that show. Yeah, that'll bring you back, right? MacGyver. It's going to be really annoying to cut with this thing on my hand. Half of the time I don't notice I cut myself until I see blood. I knew I cut myself. You know what's weird about cutting yourself is that I cut myself. I knew I did, but it takes forever for it to start bleeding. Me also, first live. Well, welcome. This is an exciting one. All right, let's get back to it. Okay. So, what the heck happened there? Hang on. I think I leaned on my remote. This is going real well. Okay, buddy. There we go, I'm back. Okay. Just so you guys know, I run all these lives by myself, so things happen. Okay. Where were we? No sea breeze first. Oh. Just make sure. Yeah, I don't think cutting yourself discriminates by age. That's for sure. Doesn't matter. Makes for exciting TV. No pressure. All right. So now we're going to continue working vertically through. So I'll go right here. Grab a little bit from what I cut first right here in the center. And then I'm going to grab some new hair to the left of that. And I'm going to bring it out. Now, here's where things change a little bit. And right here. So, actually, let me go overhead. So before, this is the only thing that changes. It doesn't really get complicated. And sometimes I break things down so much it might seem a little bit overwhelming. But for me, I don't think you can break down things too much. So this is the center guide, right? Right here in the center. Now, I grabbed some new hair from the right. We're going to now continue to move to the right. What I did on the left was take the new section and push the guideline to that new section over top of where it lives. We did that all the way over till we got to the end, then we pull it straight back. So we have to mimic this same combing as we did on that side. And what I mean by that is now I'm going to be pulling the guide to me to be over top of the new section because I'm moving to the right. So I bring everything over here, just like this, up to me, over top of the new section, and I come in here and I cut the line. There we go, cutting the tape. Good job. Now I recomb, drop my elevation, still combing it towards me to ensure that I get it over top of the new section. So right here, and we'll cut just like that. It would make it a little bit more comfortable if I have her tilt her head a little bit so that I don't have to bend so much. It's up to you guys, whatever makes you comfortable. But clients' heads do move, so that's a good thing. Ice Cream D, best name so far that I've seen. Is this going to be saved? Yes and no. So this is a virtual cutting club class. So it will be saved within the virtual cutting club. So we talked about that. That's part of a $9.99 a month club where we cut hair together every week. I'm just doing this live today for you guys so you can get a taste of what it's about. I'd love to get more people to sign up and be a part of that club. So it's in the description. If you want to join, you'll be able to watch this class. I'll post it right after the link so everybody can rewatch it. You can watch it whenever you want to. It's patreon.com/Matt Beck, and you can be a part of that club. All right. So moving on, I'll comb away from me at first just to get the hair scooped up on that side, and then we'll finalize it. The last comb should always be the guide to the new section. Here, grab a little bit more guide. That's for some of you newbies out there. If If you can't see your guide or you think you see it, I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they think they see a guide in there, so they cut, and then they realize that maybe it was just a little broken piece or something, and they end up cutting one side way shorter than the other. So you really want to make sure you have a clean, obvious guide. I can now see that obvious guide here. So I'll comb, cut, recomb, straight out, and cut. All right, I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit, go a little bit more salon reality here so we can move to the next section. I think you guys got it. So combing over the new guide or over the new section. Oh my gosh. Comb. And then the last section, remember, we take that and we comb it straight back. No scooping under, because we want it to stay within that shape straight back off the head. So we just bring it straight back and we cut it there. Drop the elevation, soften the amount of weight we take out, lessen it. So now we've cut that interior, okay? So when I look at this, we've got nice light layers, no weight line built in because we've worked off of that round of the head and we made sure that we had the right elevation. Now we can go through and cut whatever baseline we want. So we can now choose this length. Tina, thank you so much. For sure, and you lose your way. Yes, that's the truth. How do you pronounce Fo? Is that how you pronounce your name? Appreciate it. Yeah, the cutting club, guys, is really just all about getting a group of people together that are really into learning and want to meet and have these kind of classes with me. It's just a separate thing. It's a different feel. All right, let me zoom in on the baseline. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to determine the length that I want here. So if I lean her forward, comb it down a little bit, this would be obviously up against her back. I can go comb tension, which is what I'm going to do. But sometimes when she doesn't have a back, it's a little bit harder. But I'll comb the hair down onto the cape of the back, and I'm just going to determine that length. I want to keep this long because, first off, it's harder to find these longer hair mannequins. They're way more expensive. This is much easier to do when they have a back, obviously. But I'm just bringing everything back to me and cutting it. So bring it down, just working my line across like that. There we go. Is the cutting time, class time every week with the cutting club? So Sarah, great question. So it's guaranteed to be this time one Monday a month. My goal, I've been doing it every Monday, and that is kind of where I'm at. It's a lot of a commitment to do it every Monday, but I really want to. So there'll be occasional Mondays where I don't, but the schedule always goes up way in advance for within at least a week in advance, and it's at this time on Mondays. If that doesn't work for some of you guys, I'd love to hear your feedback because I can always see what I can do, but that's the great thing about it being a club too. Like, you can post those comments in the club on the app and I get them, and we can kind of figure out what works best for the majority of people. And you can always watch the class back too. All right, great questions. You're very welcome. 40 going to start school soon. Awesome, Ronnie. That's cool. All right, so there you go. We got a nice little baseline, and we're working through it. Now, let me talk about the sectioning for a second of the rest of the head. So the way that we play this out is in the front, we're going to base this off of center parting, okay? Bring that up. Okay. Nope, too much. Exposing the ceiling. Okay. So we're basing this off of center parting. So center parting straight down. I've got 2 triangles right here in the top. So those 2 triangles. Then what I did, and this is kind of where it's an advanced thought process of the simple haircutting system, right? So the haircutting system is based on all the rounds of the head. I still did that, but it changes up a little bit because I'm going to use this as a disconnect. I usually braid the disconnects where I want to leave them out, which I can go through and actually cut those in a second. Those are going to be disconnect, no elevation on these, because why? This is always what I think in my mind, and I try to explain to you guys. If you look at the density, which is this section back here, this is the thickest part of her hair, because this hair is also going to fall on top of it. So all this becomes very thick. What isn't as thick, and where a lot of our clients have issues, is as the hair goes from this hairline here, which is what's creating that thickness, because you've got this much hair here, and then quickly, right behind the ear, you drop to only having this much hair, right? When you drop to having only that much hair, the baseline is going to be weaker than the back. It's just reality. Plus, it's going to hit shoulders and get broken up anyways. So I want to keep as much density as possible in this, so I use this as disconnection. These 2 side parts, I do want to create some layering in that. So we're actually going to condense cut these 2 triangles up at the top, these 2 diamonds shapes in the back. This diamond shape works with the hairline to the back and then comes and pops back over. So all of these going to get elevated to the center and cut. It'll give us a really nice layered effect. Very simple. So the hardest part of this haircut, guys, is literally this back portion. That's it. You're just too tall. I'm tall, but I'm not that tall. But yeah, the lens is too wide. All right. So let's comb out these disconnects. Do it with a brush. And you'll see these disconnects as I comb them out. They're just a little bit longer than the rest of the hair because we cut our length in there. Such a shame to brush out these beautiful braids that we put in there. My braid skills are unmatched. All right. So now, same thing here. Comb this down. I'm actually going to, instead of sitting, I'm going to lift her. Now she's tall. So I comb this down, and I'm just going to, if she has shoulders, I'm not a fan of turning the head. I'm more of a fan of tilting it so that it's off of her shoulder. So if her head is here, that angle coming across is the same, right? And so if you leave her head straight, it's harder to cut because the hair is going to be falling here. So for me, I tilt her head just so that 0 degrees is kind of off of her shoulder. I'm going to bring all this hair forward towards me, and I'll cut it in my hand just like this across. Comb it, cut it. just like that. Keeping it nice and long. Same thing on the opposite side. Tilt your head this way. Bring that hair from that corner back. Another reason why specific sectioning is so important, because now I'm just grabbing a little bit from that corner, which I know is the same as the other side. Come through, cut, remove that length. Just like that. Okay. Now we bring our head straight. The one that got away. All right. I'm gonna drop her. Now, in this portion here, not me trying to fast forward, realizing it's alive. Hey, why are you trying to fast forward? Are you not enjoying all of the talking? What's up, Karen? Good to see you. All right. Focus on such haircutting color. Would you say that the cosmetology course is best? Would I get the same with just being barbering? Ronnie, that's a great question. Can you guys start answering that? I'm going to answer that. Remind me to answer that at the end, because I want to continue on with the cut, but that is a great question. Yeah. So if you guys want to answer that. Barbering versus going to cosmetology school. Do you learn the same stuff from a hair standpoint? And you guys can answer it in the comments. Any recommendations for scissors, dry cutting, thick hair, please? So, ice cream, good question. Scissors for dry cutting. I mean, I love this scissor that I'm using, the Matt Beck scissor, for dry cutting and wet cutting, thick hair, thin, fine hair. Really works. It's very versatile. Best bang for your buck, I believe. But then there's also the Mizutani Puffin, which is a really great scissor as well. And you can get that in all different sizes. If you like a longer scissor, that's specific to dry cutting, so you can't do any wet cutting with it because it'll push the hair. But it glides through dry hair really well. So does this one. So you can make that choice. Cool. Do you have any suggestions on keeping hair between your fingers without it falling out while trying to get your lines? So Paul, I think if you're having issues with keeping the hair tight, focus on a smaller section. Because if you comb it up nice and tight and you're focused just on that kind of before your second knuckle kind of feeling, you'll be fine. I think when people try to take too much, that's really the technical reason why you don't cut past your second knuckle, because we clearly can see that you can cut your first knuckle or your second knuckle. It doesn't matter if you go past it. But for some reason, that became a beauty school thing where we're talking about, and I don't know if it is now, that was 18 years ago, but it was a big talk about don't cut past your second knuckle because you'll cut yourself. For what you learn over the years is that you lose tension after your second knuckle because a lot of times you have a gap in between your fingers here. So it's almost like see-through, so you get less tension in this part of the hair than you do here where you can grip it. Also, your strength is kind of in your fingertips. So just stay within that second knuckle and you should be fine. Take less hair and you should be fine. Okay. Now this diamond, and I'm going to try to show you guys a little trick here. Depending on what kind of shape you want to build, you would take this diamond and think about it like this. If I take this diamond and I overdirect everything towards this corner, this point in the front of the face, that will take the weight, cut it off here, and push it back off the face. So it would open up the face. If I take that same diamond and I put it back to this back corner here, it's going to close off the face. It's going to push the weight forward. Most of the time in long layers, I don't want to do that. I don't want weight lines moving forward. It doesn't really make sense with how they're probably going to wear it. They're probably going to wear it back off their face. So most of the time, I'm not going to do that. If you want it to fall balanced in the side, you bring it to this top corner here. So let me show you this angle. So if I take the hair and I pull it to this corner, it opens up the face. If I pull it to the face, it'll open up the face. If I pull it to the back, it'll close off the face. If I pull it to this corner, it's going to fall balanced. It will not be forcing one way or the other. It'll just fall with layers. So for me, this one I'm going to cut balanced. This one I'm going to cut open. So that's going to be the easiest way to do it. Take my clip out. Look at you guys helping each other out in the comments. I love it. Really struggle with tension in my fingers too. They still tell you only cut to the second knuckle so that you can reposition and recomb. Yeah, exactly, Tammy. That's it. But just take less hair. If you have to, go to the first knuckle and start working that way. But some people's fingers are a little bit weaker than others, so they just can't hold that tension. I think also consistency in combing. You'll notice how many times I comb the hair before I cut it. That's me really working that tension up, and then my hand just kind of holding it there. So again, if I bring it to this, so this is kind of a better visual. If I comb everything up, everything's going over top of the center parting, but it's just, am I bringing it over top and cutting it like this? Am I bringing it up, cutting it like this, or like that? So for me, going straight up in the air and cutting it. This is going to throw a lot of people off too. I'm not grabbing a guideline for this. If you wanted to and you're obsessed with guidelines, you could grab hair from the back here and cut that. But see how short that is compared to what I'm working with here? For me, I just want to go through and cut the length that I'm looking for, and that's it. I know that I want some pieces to kind of hit in this area down here, but I don't want it to be too short. So I'm going to come straight up. I'm going to err on the side of longer. But because of the angle, so let me turn her. Oh, goodness. So because of this angle, so look at how I'm holding this. Look at how I'm dropping this. Comb it up. Everything's coming over top of the center. So see, over direction, up. That, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Because this is horizontal. I'm cutting it. I just cut past my second knuckle. The reason I did that was because I'm point cutting and I want it to be soft anyways. And I don't mind a little less tension back here. Everything has a purpose. Just understand why. So I comb this hair up. I do that point cutting. Cut it. That's a horizontal section in my hand. Right? Horizontal. Now, I'm going to take a piece of this vertically, and I want to show you guys what that vertical line looks like, because I think a lot of us don't picture it as both. So even though we cut it horizontally, it still has a view vertically. And once you understand that view, when you can cut something horizontally and see it, what it would look like vertically without actually holding it up, I think that's key to like taking your hair cutting to the next level. So I hold this up. Now look at the line that creates vertically. It's this kind of line. Just by combing everything over. So it's just like I went through and layered it like this, but I did it all at once in a condensed section horizontally. I got the shape that I wanted, and I also get a really nice light effect on the layering. So I comb that out. That falls over top of that baseline that we already cut. And there we go. I do the same thing on the opposite side. I take that out. Oh, he said, what does Jesus have to do with how much I comb the hair? I comb the hair a lot. But this is the thing. This is what you have to realize. I'm combing the hair a lot because I'm cutting it once. Combing an entire section of hair, cutting it once. So you got to make sure You have everything combed up to the right spot. That's how you get the vertical line the right way and the horizontal line at the same time. If I just comb this up like this, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Let me comb this up. Here we go. And all this looks like a rat's nest at the bottom. You're not going to get a good haircut. So you can either Jesus comb it, or you can speed through it and not comb it much, and then you end up with the haircut that you didn't want and pieces that are longer than others. So you got to be careful. Okay. What are your thoughts on shadowing before finishing school? I think you should shadow your whole life. Because now, here's the guideline. I want to grab a little bit from the opposite side because now I do need a guideline. So I make sure that both sides are balanced. So I grab a little bit from what I cut before so I can see it through there. Grab a little bit more. This technique work on thin curly hair? Yeah, it's good. It's good for that. Obviously, pick your lengths. Be smart with that. But the disconnect on the sides works really well when you have finer hair. I see my guide through. I come through and cut. And there we go. Thanks, Christina. You do awesome haircuts because you take care of each section. I like that about your cutting. Thanks. I know, and I don't even know if that person meant anything. It is a lot of combing. I get it. It is. But for me, condensed cutting is great because when you're in the salon and you can condense, like I'm literally taking 1, 2, 3, 4 sections on the top and cutting it and creating a really beautiful layered cut. That extra combing doesn't take as long as individual sections all the way through it. So if you can use condensed cutting to your favor, it works really well. All right, last two. So I'll take this section out. Same concept here, right? If I pull it over here, it's going to open up the face. If I pull it back off the face, it's going to close off the face. And if I go straight up, it's just going to kind of fall nice and soft, but not have a lot of throwback on it. So if you want more of an angle in the front, you want to over-direct it more. The more you over-direct it, the more of that angle you're going to get, if that makes sense. Do you take the same sectioning for every layer cut you do? Not necessarily, because all layered haircuts are a little bit different. This is great sectioning for a layered haircut, but there's so many different ways to do it, and I like coming up with new ways to do it that have a purpose. This one's pretty versatile though, like being able to create the different shapes using all those triangles and diamonds. So, all right. So now I take this, I bring it over. I can grab a little piece just so it flows into the back. That's fine. Grab a piece as my guide. So there it is. Bring this up almost to the opposite corner of this triangle. So when you look at, we'll just bring it to that point and then that'll make more sense for you guys. So here, I'm going to bring this over top of that corner. Point cut so that it's nice and soft. I'm going to recomb because that tape's in the way. My hand. It's driving me nuts. There we go. Comb that down. And now you get a nice little pop face frame in there. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Grab a piece from the back. Look for that temple area, or that, not the temple, the recession point right there. Comb it. Over comb it. Point cut. Again, still playing with the head shape, right? So when you look at this point here, I'm still following the round of the head. If I drop too much, that's when people end up with heavy face frames that don't fall right. And it's because you're still thinking about the head shape in the front. It's a curve down. So you got to be aware of it. All right. So that is our layered haircut. I'm going to do a styling class on this in the future. It's not the virtual styling club, and I'm not a styling guru, but you can see those kind of layers, how they work through it. What I want you guys to do right now, if you've asked a question and I haven't answered it for you at this point, start typing your Q's and put in your question. I'm going to go over to my computer. I'm going to do a little Q&A session for a little bit to answer that. I'm going to blow this out off camera, and I'm going to post it in the Virtual Cutting Club app, the Patreon app, so you guys can see the end result, and I'll put a link with that of the class. So then that way you see the haircut, you see the picture of it, and you can take the class, watch me cut myself again, and enjoy it that way. All right. So let me know what you think. Type your Q's. About to go through. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. About to go through and do a little Q&A with you guys for a little bit. Something I also like to do with the Virtual Cutting Club is just go through and make sure we thoroughly answer your questions. I kind of want to be your coach on a weekly basis for your haircutting so that we can really we can all just have a good time, talk about hair, and have somebody there to ask questions to. That's what it's all about. All right. Let me spin it a little bit so you guys can see kind of how those layers play through it. I know it's a little bit harder to visualize because it's still wet, but I think you can kind of see it. She's got a nice little wave to her hair. All right. I'm going over. Okay. Let me pull you guys down here. So I can see your questions. All right, I'm just going to work my way up. Rhonda, so this method is equally effective for short or long styles. Yeah, for sure. So it's good for long styles, or short styles as well. The concept, right? So when you look at another reason why getting the FSE digital haircutting system, because it takes you through long haircuts and short haircuts and uses the same terminology through all of them. So there's 8 different cuts. You guys can get that. Like if you don't want to do the $9.99 a month and join the club, you can just get the FSE digital haircutting system. I'll play you guys a video of it in a minute so you can kind of get a teaser for it. But yeah, you can do that. I'm just going to play it for you and then I'll answer more questions. But this is what the haircutting system is all about.
There's a few things that you have to understand about haircutting before you can really jump into doing haircuts. These are all things that I'm going to teach you guys in the next 8 haircuts. Truly understanding the why behind what you're doing in haircutting can make haircutting so much more fun and make you way more successful behind the chair.
So that's that. So that's the cutting system. You get that if you're part of the Virtual Cutting Club. It's in the app, so you can watch all the videos. This is the shop link here. So that's the link if you want to just get this cutting system. But if you want to join the Patreon, then you need to is it? I forget where I put it, but oh, it's here. Let me get rid of that and that. So if you want to join the virtual cutting club, it's there. All right, what else we got here? How do you determine what layering technique you're going to use? So that's a great question, Chloe. So basically what I do is I when I look at a picture of somebody, right? Like if your client brings in a celebrity picture or whatever it is, or I listen to their challenges. So first off, picture, I look at how does that weight line seem to go? If it's short to long, then I know it's more of an open shape. So what I'll do is I'll make sure I'm over directing everything forward to then allow it to fall off the face. That's if I see it in a picture. If they complain about hair always falling in their face, then that's how I know I'm going to layer it as an open shape as well, because I want to direct that weight back off of her face. I also know if they talk about it being heavy, then I know I'm going to use higher elevation to lighten it up, or I'm going to go in and just skinny up that section a little bit. Like I could soften the ends, maybe using a texturizing scissor. That's actually a really great class that I could do coming up that would talk about how to lighten up a face frame without using layering, without using like tons of elevation. That's a great idea, and I'll do that soon. But yeah, that's kind of how I go through all of that. Skinny that up a little bit. Put it up against my shirt. But I'd love for you guys to be a part of the club. What is your finger angle for that section? So I'm not sure what section that was on, but my finger angle was parallel to the head shape pretty much the whole time. Pretty much the entire time. So go to Haircuts. Thank you. Appreciate that. I like the triangle and the diamond sections. Can't wait for the final result. Yeah, Cheryl, totally. Hopefully you're not bummed that I didn't blow it dry, but it's more about the cutting. You could style it any different way that you wanted to, but it's a very lightweight layered effect. I love the cutting style in the front section for curly hair. Cool. Yeah, Tammy, for sure. Do you use the same technique when cutting a client who wears a side part? Yes, but that would change things up a little bit. So when you look at, actually, let me pop over. When you have a client that has a side parting, let's say I did this same exact haircut, what's going to happen is, brush her back. So I bring her back, and now I start bringing this over, and automatically, see how short that gets? So now you've got short side and still a long side. So does it work? If she likes that look, it works, right? If she doesn't, now you've got all this hair over here that's super heavy, and then you've got this hair that's kind of long. So what would you do differently? I would bring more of this up into it. I would base it off of that parting. I would bring this, so I would have a bigger triangle on the top. So I'd take a bigger triangle up top. This is how I would section it out. Again, I don't want to keep talking about this too much, but I'd love for you guys to be a part of the club. This is what we get to do. We get to break these things down. And this isn't popular internet material, so it's the reason I can't do it all the time on lives, but I can do it with virtual cutting clubs, so I like it. So I have to make this triangle section a little bit bigger. And this, I will just do this quickly. I won't overcomb it, just to give you an idea. So my first, or my front sections, instead of being those two small triangles, would be this triangle here, and then a smaller triangle here. But, so you can see. So big triangle here, small triangle here. I would take this triangle, bring it up over top of the parting. So what that would do is it would cut the weight here instead of doing it all in the center. It would cut the weight here and push it off of the face. It would be nice. It would fall nice. And then this triangle, I'd bring it up here, cut it. It would give me a little extra layering here, which is non-existent at this point. And then if you wanted to, you could do a little slide cutting into this hair just to add some pieces that go with that face frame, but instead of over directing all of this up and cutting it, because that would make the baseline too lightweight. So in order to get that kind of thicker feel to the haircut, you kind of have to just play it off that way. Hope that makes sense. All right. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this with us. You are very welcome. Thank you, Paul. This is not related to the haircut, but I would love to know if you have a recommendation for a great razor. Yeah. Do you know me? I'm just kidding. But we are now an inventor of a razor, patented TriRazor. So if you guys are looking for a super cool 3-sided razor, this is my favorite thing. Keep it in my back pocket. Cut people's hair on the street whenever I want to. 50% cutting side, 25% cutting side. So that's a great way to take some texture out, take out weight, and then 100% cutting side for doing any of your standard razor cuts. Fits in the palm of your hand. You pop this top off, and you have 3 razors inside, all replaceable. When you purchase it, it comes with a pack of 5 blades and then 3 blades inside of it. And you can get all the blades on our online store, Shop FSE. So let me see if I can move this to every window, and then I can go shop link. Yeah, I'll keep all the links. All the links. All right. On that last front triangle section, okay, we did that. So 90 degrees. Move questions up here. It was 90 degrees off the head shape the whole time. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a little, of course. So this method is, yes, we answered that one. Do you also cut hair in the salon, or do you just teach classes? So mostly I just teach classes. I own a salon with my wife, Christina. It's down the hall, but I don't take new clients. I cut my existing clients, and I teach all the time and run free salon education, creating content. So trying to build this club up, and then we have tons of people cutting hair all over the place, and I can recommend them to you guys. Scissors for dry cutting was the Mizutani Puffin. So maybe I can, oh yeah, here we go. Let me show you guys this computer. Look at that. All right, so if I go to, that's freesaloneducation.com, but if I go to the shop, which is Shop FSE, here, then you've got the FSE digital haircutting system, which is here. This is going to run slow because I'm live, but we go to scissors, dry cutting scissors, and we've got the Puffin right here. So this is the scissor I was talking about. Again, you can do like installment payments, so you don't have to go like purchase the whole thing right away. So really having a hard time loading images, but it's because I'm live. And it's broken image, weird. Okay. But either way, it's an awesome scissor. You can check it out. Just go to shopfse.com. The razor's there, so if you wanted to get the TriRazor, you can pick up that right there. If you want to check out some education, that is the digital cutting system, so you can get that there. And then if you want to do the Patreon, you just go to patreon.com/Matt Beck, and you can just sign up right through that, and you get all this different stuff, and you also get 20% off Pro Tools on our shop. So if you're looking to buy scissors and stuff, you might want to do that. Okay, what else we got? Back to this. Tuned in late, Matt, sorry. Can you tell me what angle you used in the back layers? So the back layers were also 90 degrees for the most part. We shifted our hand down. It got a little bit different than 90 towards the nape, but you could pretty much say, and if you want to watch it back, you'll be able to watch it back on the Virtual Cutting Club app, Patreon. Okay, Ronnie. Yes, I wanted to answer this. So I've worked with, so I went to cosmetology school, obviously. I wish I would have just went to barbering. I don't know if that was a thing in Iowa when I went, but you learn mostly hair and barbering. I don't think they go so in depth with coloring from my knowledge, but they could now. But you get the licensing, I believe, pretty much for everything, except for nails and all that stuff that goes with the cosmetology license, which I've never used before. So for me, barbering would have been the choice, but I didn't have it then. So, I learned the nails and all that, which I've now forgotten. But so if I could go to barbering, if you were just going to do hair and you can go to barbering school, I would do that. But look into it and see what your licensing, what it allows you to do, because every state is different. You're very welcome. How can you layer curly hair? Layering curly hair is the same. The outcome just is, like, if you hold something at 90 degrees on curly hair, it's going to expand and become kind of round and bigger, right? So you just have to understand, like, what you're doing and the reaction to it. My biggest thing for you guys out there that are trying to learn this stuff is get a mannequin, get a curly mannequin, even perma mannequin to get the perfect wave that you want. So you can cut wavy, you can cut extra curly, you can cut straight, and just see the difference. Do a 90-degree haircut on all three of them and see the difference of what happens. I think doing research is smart. Like so many people just want to ask a question and get an answer, but I think physically doing something and learning about it as you go is the best way to learn. So MJ, Patreon is right there. Patreon.com/Matt Beck. Hope to see you in the club. Where's your shop? We're located in New Hope, PA. There's super busy stylists here. Small crew, so booked a month or two out. So hard to get an appointment, but we have, we're here. And if there's any barbers out there that are in the Philadelphia area and looking for a job, please hit me up. It's all right, Smo, you'll be able to see it in the Virtual Cutting Club app. Could you break down equipment used and products, please? Thank you. So I think I did a pretty good product and tool breakdown. Ice cream. All right, cool. I think I'm really sorry if I didn't get to Don, that's a good question. Classes for someone who wants to teach. So currently no, but I would love to maybe put together, I don't know if it would be like how to teach, but it would be like maybe like some kind of content creation class or something, or a way to teach online, something like that. Maybe I would do. Carlene, thank you. Awesome. Awesome, Adrian. Love to hear it. Got all the OG VCC people. So Matt, are you moving away from the FSE app for videos? So I'm still going to post the new videos on the FSE app. The FSE app is free. The Patreon app is just for the Virtual Cutting Club. we used to do the virtual cutting club through the FSE Now app, which is this guy here. Some of you guys know very well. You're a part of it. It's awesome. You should sign up. You should download it. There's a bunch of education on there, tons of stuff. But the virtual cutting club, I didn't love the way it flowed on there, and I wanted a way to communicate better to you guys. So Patreon is the best way to do it. It's very versatile, and I can do different things. You get the alerts when I send out messages, all that stuff. So I'm hosting that on Patreon, keeping the FSE Now app for sure. Let's see. I'm really picky as to who cuts my hair. I get anxious about that. My hair fell out due to COVID and is just growing back. Stream is off. What do you suggest for new growth? Is approximately inch and a half now. There's some cool pixie cuts out there, I think. You know, obviously you just gotta let it grow. You know, I've had clients that have had different ways, like hair loss, and then it grows back in, and we just kind of work with it. I think it's fun to like get experimental with the different cuts that you do, but just look up pixie cuts. There's a lot of cool things, and if it's feeling like thinner or it's coming back in a softer texture, product choices are good. There's like powders and different things that help hair feel a little bit thicker. That would be my recommendation. Get a cool kind of pixie cut, and then use those powders to thicken things up and add texture and make the hair just feel a little more coarse. Is always helpful. Are perms back on trend? That's a great question, and I feel like people have said perms are coming back on trend since I started hair school, and I don't see more people getting perms. I do see people get perms, but I don't think it's like become a trend yet. And I feel like everything started to circle back around, and I feel like it skipped the whole perm thing. But I do think embracing your natural texture, whether that be curly, straight, whatever, and not spending too much time manufacturing a style, I think is definitely more on trend now. Are you moving out of FSE app and using Patreon as your primary videos? No. So Patreon is only for VCC members. You wouldn't see anything on there if you're not a member. So that's specifically for exclusive content, classes, all of that stuff you'll get on Patreon. FSE Now app is just a collection of everything that I'm doing that's free. I love your accent. Where are you from? Because I just wonder where you're from, that you hear my accent. It's a mix of Midwest and now East Coast for 18 years. Do you know how to cut heart-shaped haircut on curly hair? Yes, and that's one of the cuts I've been working on to make a video for. I like that haircut a lot. Are we going to still have color classes? Yeah, Karen, I think we want to bring him back. I got to talk to Brian about his schedule and stuff. But once in a while, we will have them. I don't think it'll be on a weekly basis like before because it's so hard to come up with a new color class every single week. But I think we will do them again. Just signed up for the cutting club. Sarah, awesome. Thank you so much. I think I got through pretty much everyone. Good advice. That's what my friend did when she had hair loss. Sweet. Will you ever visit the UK for Salon International? I would love to. I don't travel much right now because my son's at I don't want to miss anything, so I don't go anywhere. But I do this. So I'm going to do this for a while. He'll be in college in 4 or 5 years, and I'll probably venture out then. Hopefully the world will still be good to go. Not a hairdresser, just fascinated watching your videos because I'm desperate for a new style. I totally dig that. I like that people, I'm not somebody that's like, oh, professionals have to watch. I get why people are fascinated with hair, and I think most people that became hairdressers were fascinated with hair before they had a license. I think it's totally okay. And I think people should know what a good haircut is. And I'm not saying that my haircuts, I know my haircuts are good because I've been doing them. I've been studying hair a lot and training to be good. They're not the best. I'm not the best hair cutter, but, you know, I put a lot of time into learning how to do this for a very long time. And I also don't think that anybody watching my videos and watching a hair tutorial is going to get good and take my job because they watched one of my videos. And if they can watch one of my videos and get good enough to take your job, you got to work harder and study more, because that's the furthest fear of mine, is that somebody will watch a hair tutorial and do better than me. It just won't happen. So, cool, Kelly. It's cool. Mom near Philadelphia now. All right, sweet. Well, listen, guys, I had a really good time hanging out with you guys, doing some hair cutting. I hope you guys enjoyed the class, being a part of it. Again, I'd love for you to be on the Patreon. So if you guys, go to the main. So if you guys want, go to patreon.com/Matt Beck. You can be a part of these classes, hopefully on a weekly basis. Around this time, we'll meet, talk about hair cutting. Everybody's welcome to join the Patreon. You don't, there's no judgment. There's people from all over the world that are on here and different levels. Some people are thinking about going to hair school. Some people are in hair school. You know, this Patreon thing is about, hair advice, hair education. It's everything. So everyone's welcome. I'd love to have you a part of it. And just talking hair with me. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ronnie. Appreciate it. It is true. It's people just get freaked out, I guess. But I get that people don't want their jobs to go away, but your job, no one can take away if you work hard and learn. Have a good weekend, guy. Or a week. Week ahead, not weekend. Week ahead. No, it does not take away a job at all. I think it wakes people up to be more conscious of what a good haircut is, or what should be happening, because there's a lot of people that go out and they struggle with getting a bad haircut for years, and they don't know what to look for, and they don't know what they want. And I think if you have somebody that's kind of knowledgeable now and they know what they want, and they see it and they can convey that message to a hairdresser, it's cool. For sure. All right. You guys are cool. Thank you so much. Again, join the Patreon if you want. I'd love to have you there. Say hello as soon as you join. Just start chatting it up. And I look forward to doing this again with you guys and seeing you guys more often. So thank you. Have a great day. Stay safe. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
I've been here before, familiar with the view. This ain't nothing new. And every time that you walk through the door, I'm hit by the same old tide, blinded by the lights. And I'm going through changes, but it's easier with you. I'm going through changes.